Okay, here we go with our second example, and again today, just for today only, it's really pretty easy for us because we already have a variable by itself. This time it's y again. Now I probably should have done an example that had an x by itself, but just so you know, the x could be by itself or the y, it's ready to go. It's not like graphing a line where it always has to be y. You could have either variable. These two just both happen to have y. So we're going to take this equation that's already solved for a variable, and I'm going to substitute it into the other equation wherever there's a y. It's going to look a little more complicated, but then it's going to be all one variable. So 3x plus 2, instead of writing y, I'm going to write this substitute, 1/2 x minus 1 equals 0. So the only thing I've changed in this top equation is where there was y, I've written what I circled. And we'll solve it just like we did before. 3x plus, now we've got to deal with fractions here, but it won't be too bad, they'll go away. 2 times 1/2 is 1. 2 times -1 is minus 2. Equals 0. We'll combine our like terms. That makes 4x minus 2 equals 0 when I combine the 3x and the 1x. Add the 2 and we can kind of sense we're going to get a fraction here. 4x equals 2 divided by 4. You get 1/2. So you can get fraction answers. It seems pretty ugly, but it'd be way uglier if we had to graph these. So that's why we don't always want to graph. Sometimes an algebraic approach is better. So I've got one answer. And of course I have to plug it back in to whatever one looks easiest. I think that the second equation here looks the easiest. So I'm going to put it into there. Y equals 1/2 times my x that I found is 1/2. A little bit ugly, but we'll deal with that in a minute. Minus 1. Y equals 1/2 times 1/2. You multiply the tops, that's 1. You multiply the bottoms, that's 4. Minus 1. Now, if you don't like doing a 1/4 minus 1, some of you could probably do that in your head. I'd prefer you not go to decimals, but if you don't want to do that in your head, remember, you can kill fractions in equations. Just multiply everything by 4. That's fine to do. 4y equals 1 minus 4. So 4y equals a -3. And then you divide by 4. You get y equals a -3/4. Again, if you could have jumped right to that, that's great. But that's your second answer. And now you can write it as an ordered pair. 1/2, -3/4. Now you're not going to get many, if any, fraction answers today. But as we continue to make this a little more difficult, we will start to see them, so we wanted to introduce that now. It's not a lot harder. Let me know when you need help.